So, I've had a bunch of you end up pointing out that during my live chats and during some posts that I've made on Instagram and during some posts that I've made on Facebook, that something seems off about where it is I seem to be living. And I would like to go and say that you're all correct. For those of you who can't comment on my YouTube channel, it's because of YouTube's BS protection about minors and things like that. Go ahead and look it up. If you click on the Learn More down below, you'll end up reading about it. So please join my Facebook page, join my Instagram. I'm apparently going to do a TikTok because the girlfriend said I had to, and whatever other form of media that's down below. But let's get to the real point of the video. Where is it that me and Jessi and John are living? So, the one thing you guys have pointed out is that this used to be where I did all my live chats from, and obviously I am not here. The other thing that a bunch of you have pointed out is that here I am sitting in the house. As you can see, I haven't cleaned up much of it. I have managed to get the washer and the dryer up and running. Hey everyone, just wanted to go and give you an update that I did manage to go and fix the washer. I don't think something the consistency of bacon grease belongs in a washer. I'm really not quite sure what was in here, but I had to rip apart the entire diversion valve and I had to tear apart the pump and found some really weird consistency. Vaseline, bacon grease, not quite sure. Ended up fixing the dryer. It was entirely clogged with lint, and somebody had managed to smash out the contact, the contact switch on the door. But we're back up and running. We can do laundry. That makes the missus happy.
Not quite missus, but sure.
There we go.
Turn on the dryer?
Oh, I have to turn it on?
That would be a good idea to dry the comforter. Thank you.
But as far as actually cleaning up the house, I've just barely scratched the surface. I managed to go and get the flea-infested, icky couches and everything out and get them disposed of. But as somebody else also pointed out, these walls are white. And this table has not been in any of the videos while I've been doing live chat. So, the question is, where have I been live chatting from? So, before we go any further, as many of you have noticed over the years, there happens to go and be a stairway behind me that goes upstairs above the garage. 13 years ago when I bought this house, I bought it with the garage that's attached to it. Originally, and was always the plan when I bought this house, was that this garage is junk. It is absolute total trash. It is absolutely jury-rigged everywhere. There is nothing in it that is square. There is nothing in it that is electrically safe, and there is nothing in it that should be kept. So, what was always the plan was that over where the chicken coop is, there was going to be a pad poured, there was going to be a two-car garage, there was going to be an upstairs put in, with the idea being that the upstairs was going to be kind of a man cave / work area, all that kind of stuff. Even back 13 years ago, I enjoyed working on small engines and I enjoyed inventing and tinkering. So, when I bought a house, I bought it with the idea that I was going to have a work area. Originally, the idea was that I would work in this garage, I would keep it going, I'd have an upstairs to be able to store stuff in, and then I'd be able to go and move everything over to my actual garage. Fast forward a year from then, my father ended up really in a bad way. My father had a massive heart attack, he had a massive stroke. On top of that, he ended up losing most of the use of his right leg. Left leg. He ended up losing most of the use of his left leg. He lost the entire use of his right arm. He ended up having to go through speech therapy, had to go through all kinds of different stuff. And my mother, as the most amazing, beautiful person that she is, decided that it was time to divorce him during all of this. That was sarcasm if you didn't quite catch that. So, thus, my father ended up thrown out of his own house and ended up having to go and find a place to live. He ended up in an apartment. Now, granted, the apartment that he got was a nice first floor apartment, except for the problem is he really couldn't quite do everything on his own, and therefore my sister moved in with him. Now, my sister did a decent job. She was there for about 6 months and she took care of him, except for the thing is my sister at that point was working on being a college student. She was working on the idea of going to England and going to college and doing all kinds of other stuff, which meant that she didn't exactly have the time or the capability to stay with him. So, this meant that my father had about 9 months to figure out where it was he was going to be. And thus, the apartment above my garage was born. The apartment above my garage was supposed to be a temporary solution. It was supposed to be something that would give him a place to live while things were transitioning and that things would be moving on. I also was supposed to have 6 months to get the apartment done in order to be able to move him in. And unfortunately, I ended up with 1 month. Everything that was done to take this from being nothing but just a unfinished loft to being able to turn it into an apartment had to happen on almost no budget and had to happen in 30 days or less instead of the 6 months I was originally supposed to have. What was supposed to be about a 5-year solution turned into 12. And up until about 9 months or so ago, my father maintained living in this apartment, which is why you guys never saw it on YouTube, because I maintained his privacy. That's why the stair lift was here, sitting next to me, which was in a video that we tore it apart. So, let's fast forward now to the current situation. High quality people and my father moving on and going to live out the last of his terminal cancer under better care meant that the house was trashed. I then discovered that the oil furnace, the pump had been burnt out, that something apparently got put into it, and everything else was trashed in it. So where do you go from there? The apartment is small, easy to heat, cost effective, so I ended up moving into the apartment. Now, keep in mind when I take you in, the apartment was set up from what originally was basically just a hayloft, and never improved from there because it was supposed to be temporary and didn't end up temporary. Let's go take a look. Alright, so as we first come in, we've got the kitchen area over here, and please excuse the mess. The real reality is it's just been one of those weeks, and this is my fault. I do love working with the little dishwasher, but only just so much fits in it, so that's my fault I haven't gotten it done. But here we go. We've got the little micro stove here. This is the countertop that you guys pointed out was the wrong color. And that's because this is just a piece of really, really thick flooring grade plywood. And that was cut out to put the sink in and just polyurethaned over. And originally that was built about 11 years ago now. Little corner space. And then we've got the area up here, and we're just going to put a shelf across there for more storage. And the little small efficiency refrigerator. And then as we come back around, we've got the rest of the place. Oh, some family pictures. There's me and my little sister. And yes, you can make fun of my purple bag all you want. Has got to be the ugliest snowmobile suit ever created. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of this. Basically, I have a giant pile of boxes here because I'm still currently sorting through my father's stuff and boxing it up. I ended up having to move my father out of his house to the apartment, then in 6 months move him into this apartment after building it basically in 1 month from a loft. And the thing is it is, oh, here's the bathroom that I had to go and put in. I'm working on painting the floor right now to reseal the entire thing, and currently in the middle of redoing all the sanding and stuff to repaint it. This pink is just absolutely ugly. But all of the entire floor is this. It's fiberglass resin. The previous owner used this loft area as a working area for redoing fiberglass pieces. So the whole floor is ruined with this and just irritating as can be. Yeah, the brad nailer here, this Wen brad nailer, I love this thing, is here because I'm currently working on fixing all the squeaky. So basically when you got a squeaky floor like this, you take your steel-toed boot and you press down on it to get your weight on it. And brad nail right around it in order to help cut it down. Oh, apparently it's my other foot that's on the squeak. And see, that cuts down the squeak. So from there we've got the back office. For those that were around during the cabin build, yes, that is the heater, and yes, I did use it for 2 or 3 weeks when we got back here, until we could manage to go and get the propane stuff fixed for this. More of my dad's stuff that needs to go and stay. These are paintings that my father did back in the 60s. And so I ended up deciding to keep those and hang those up. There we are. And just a map of Belfast. We're over in this kind of area of the bay over in here. So we ended up with cleaning up and working on a back office area. That way my girlfriend could get all of her stuff figured out. She does this stuff on the side. So if you'd like, you're welcome to go and get a hold of her. And then back here, we have what you guys have been seeing for the backdrop. As you can recognize, there's the skulls from the live feed. There's the green that people have been pointing out that none of the walls inside the house are green. So there you go. That's the green walls. And there's the chair everybody was pointing out was missing, and the computer. So we've got everything up and running. And we've got more of my father's stuff stacked up that needs to stay out of the cold. The spotlight that I use. And over here we've got what has become John's room. The usual kids' room. We've had a lot of you that have gotten a hold of me and donated Legos for John. That's amazing. He loves them and enjoys every single little bit of them. I believe right here, yep, here's the Batman Legos that were donated, and he loves them. Thank you very much, and you all have really made a big difference in his life. So, I'm not going to show you the bedroom, because Jessi and I have an understanding that that's off limits. You got to respect your woman, and you got to honor what she says, so therefore, this is going to go and stay off limits for this video, and most likely future videos. But to give you a perspective, it is a nice sized bedroom, except for it is long. It is very thin, but it is long. So if we look here, that wall there is the same exact depth as this wall here. And that is all the way to the kitchen. This also goes all the way to the front wall with a nice big window you guys have seen in the background. So there we go. That's the reality of where it is that Jessi, me, and John are living. The reality is, it's a temporary thing. We're going to live here for a year or two in order to be able to fix up the house so that the house is the way that it should be instead of the torn apart mess that it is currently. We're going to use living up here to be able to freely work on cleaning out the high quality people mess that's left over. Eventually, this will get torn down. Eventually, this will get torn down and an actual garage will get put in. Eventually, I'd like to go and have a pad poured out in front of this, have a nice metal carport out in front, and take the area that this garage is and expand a porch area off of the actual house and be able to have a nice cooking deck area instead of the way that it is now. I'd like to go and be able to make it so that my neighbors over on that side and the traffic is blocked off by the existence of the house being between it. That's where we're at right now. We're simply just working through one Furby at a time worth of difficulties. Thank you for supporting us. Please, if you're on YouTube, check out my Facebook page, check out my Instagram, and check out my TikTok. That way you can comment since YouTube doesn't let you. Have a good day.